Welcome to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Wherever you find American troops today, you find the men of the Transportation Corps. Enough and on time. That's the story we tell you today. The story of the Army Quartermaster Corps.
These youthful servicemen are members of the Army's Military Police Corps.
One of the most important forces behind the lines, the Army Ordnance Corps.
Welcome again to the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast. I am Sergeant First Class Adam Ross, Public Affairs NCOIC for 19th Expeditionary Sustainment Command. And today we are pleased to be joined by Lieutenant Colonel Romaine Aguon and Command Sergeant Major Thomas Skelton. They are the command team for 498th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion, better known as 498th CSSB. Thank you both for joining us here today.
Thank you for having us.
Victory. All right. And so we've, as we welcome the command teams onto the podcast, we like to kind of start with a get to know you section. So, ma'am, what can you tell me about what brought you to the Army?
So in 1997, as a little highly energetic Pacific Islander on the island of Aguon, I decided to enlist in the United States Army Reserve, primarily to see what the Army had to offer, just based on my Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps education and training in high school. The little experience that I had there, I liked what I was being taught about service to the nation and defending our country as an American soldier. And I also heard about the travel opportunities and the financial stability I could have if I decided to stay in and do the right thing. So that was one of my primary motivators, really, because I am the first in my immediate family to join the armed service. Neither of my parents are prior service or have any military experience. So I was really the first one in the family to decide to join the military. A lot of motivators back then, just being the eldest in my immediate family and trying to be that role model that my siblings could look up to, and I thought the Army was a good way to get that started.
And so, ma'am, you went to college on Guam too. Before you went to basic training or any kind of, was that your first time on the mainland? Had you done much traveling before that?
So I did go on a few summer vacations when I was younger. But the first time really leaving for a long period of time, for more than a month, was when I enlisted in 1997 and I went off to basic training. I did go to college a few years after I was already in the U.S. Army Reserves.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, that must have been even more of an eye-opening experience for you than, basic training already is. And Sergeant Major, how about you?
So I come from a long line of military service, grandfather in the Air Force, uncles in the Navy. My dad was in the Army. I was the first one to go to college on my side of the family. So I thought that was really important. But while I was in college, I was realizing that I was just burnt out from school. So in 96, followed in my father's footsteps and joined the Army and wanted to start off at the ground level. Really didn't use my college credits or anything to try to get an advance or, come in at a different rank. So came in at E1 and, about to be 25 years later, still kicking it, still going strong.
Oh, congratulations. And so when did you finish your degree while you're in the Army? Yeah.
So when the Army came out with the Army U, way back when it first started, when the incentive was you get a laptop. If you signed up to do college courses, they would give you a laptop and internet access. And so I told my first sergeant, if you want me to re-enlist, you need to get me one of these limited slots in this program. And then I continued doing it, did one class every semester. And then I got my master's degree just a couple years ago.
Oh, awesome. And so do you still have the laptop, Sergeant Major?
Oh, no. I don't think dial-up, I don't think that computer made it.
Be an interesting relic, to have.
True, that is true.
Okay, so let's turn now to 498th. So
If we want to talk about the history and how we started off, we've been an organization since 1936. That's when we first developed. Our organization has traveled across many different peninsulas. We've supported operations during World War II, here in Korea during the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and then during Operation Desert Storm. It's kind of funny, if you look on our coat of arms, we actually have a grain of wheat and a grain of rice, or the plant, which symbolizes, during World War II, we were actually a baker battalion. So our whole battalion just baked bread for the Army. So we keep that part of our history strong with our coat of arms. And then we have the stalk of rice, which signifies our connection with the Korean Peninsula. This is our second time here. We originally came during the Korean War, and then we got moved to Germany, the Philippines, Vietnam, and then we got brought back in 2003, and we've been here for the last 18 years. So it's been pretty awesome experience for our organization as we continue to grow and change.
Definitely. I mean, a bread battalion, you don't.
Yeah, the Baker Battalion.
The Army's changed quite a bit. The B in CSSB does not stand for Baker. No.
No longer, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so really, when we get to the structure portion of it, and you look at 498 CSSB, the size of the battalion, we have 6 subordinate units. 4 are headquartered out of Area 4 in Camp Carroll, and 2 are out of Area 3 in Camp Humphreys. So the 4 that are in Camp Carroll in Area 4 are the headquarters and headquarters company. We have the 95th Transportation Company. We have the 541st Quartermaster Field Feeding Company, and we have the 551st Inland Cargo Transfer Company. Then the 2 in Camp Humphreys, Area 3, are the 176th Financial Management Support Unit and the 339th Quartermaster Company. And I shall not forget to say that we do have a platoon-size element from our 541st Quartermaster Field Feeding Company in Japan. Not a lot of people know that.
And they still fall under 498th.
That is correct.
Really. But that really speaks to just how wide-ranging your mission is, that you even have a platoon in Japan.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a little break right now. We're going to talk more about the 498th mission and the different kind of units they have when we come back right here on the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Are you new to Korea and really want to experience some of the very cool sights, especially in Area 4? The 19th ESC chaplain team is doing a spiritual fitness event next Thursday, 22 July, to Busan. Korean memorials and cemetery and museum. Please get with your 19th ESC chaplain team to sign up and for more information as soon as possible. I am Master Sergeant Andrew Fucillo, and I am your new 19th ESC Master Religious Affairs NCO. But please know that we will be doing spiritual fitness events every quarter.
Back here on the 19th ESC Every Soldier Counts podcast. Again, I'm Sergeant Adam Ross, joined here today by the command team of 498th CSSB with Lieutenant Colonel Aguon and Command Sergeant Major Skelton. And you were, before the break, you were telling me about the different kinds of units in 498th CSSB. Some of those may be new acronyms to people, like the Inland Cargo Transfer Company. What can you tell me about the different kinds of companies that are in your battalion, what they do?
So really, it's all about area sustainment and finance support. And I just really have to make sure I key in on that, because that's also what makes us unique, CSSB here on the peninsula. So if I can just really quickly express just the key mission of each unit, and it'll give you a better understanding of the breadth of operations that we have. So the 95th Transportation Company, they really, bottom line up front, they provide transportation for movement of bulk petroleum as an area support basis. Our 541st Quartermaster Field Feeding Company, they provide field feeding support to what we call Echelons Above Brigade, EABs, the operational forces, And they can also deploy on demand to support customer units with field feeding operations in the field. They currently operate 7 warrior restaurants. Warrior restaurants is the new term for dining facilities. Mm-hmm. So across the peninsula, we have 7 warrior restaurants that they're responsible for. The 551st Inland Cargo Transfer Company, so they primarily discharge, they load, and they transship cargo at different nodes. They have cargo handling capabilities and break bulk distribution. So when it comes into the port, they're responsible for receiving it from the port and then further sending it out to the units. The 339th Quartermaster Company up at Camp Humphreys, their big mission is to receive, store, and transfer bulk petroleum. They are strategically positioned in Camp Humphreys to do that. And our 176 Financial Management Support Unit, which makes us very, very unique. So they conduct finance operations. They do things like dispersing, commercial vendor services, military pay and banking support, the finance in processing and out processing. Those are all our teammates from the 498 CSSB. So in support of the United States Forces Korea, the entire peninsula. And so within that unit, they have 3 detachments. Alpha Detachment, which is primarily out of Area 3, Camp Humphreys. Bravo Detachment headquarters is at Camp Humphreys, but they have a financial management support team here at Camp Walker. Charlie Detachment supports the Area 1 at Camp Casey. So very, very, very unique and very broad scope of responsibilities for sustainment and finance operations here on the peninsula.
Definitely, yeah. And 176, I mean, anyone who's coming into Korea, you do your financial readiness is a big thing. Very often we have first-term soldiers who are arriving in Korea. We got to get that right, when they touch down here in Korea. Sergeant Major, what would you like to add with the different units?
When it comes across with the 498th and the challenges that we have, it's enlisted management is a challenge that we face, because it's not like a typical organization where we only have 1 or 2, or a small handful of MOSs across the board. We're managing the careers of multiple MOSs across our field with different types of mechanics, the different 88 series, the 36 Bravos, 88 Novembers. We've got a little mix, 92 Foxes, Gulfs. I mean, we've got a wide variety of MOSs across the field, and it's tough to be that subject matter expert and advise all of our personnel on their career choices and advancements. But it's a challenge, but it's good because it expands our leaders' knowledge on learning the backgrounds, learning what makes these individuals successful, coordinating with those seniors of those MOSs and other organizations to be able to provide that good feedback. So the CSSB, with their versatility, it's pretty awesome to be able to see all the different things that we can accomplish.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned all this, wide variety of MOSs, but they still have to act as a team together and have this cohesive morale. So how does that play into the Victory Big Four that your battalion has?
So really the Victory Big Four, when we talk about the Big Four and what keeps us up at night if we don't get it right, is first and foremost, living by our fundamental guiding principles, which are the Army values and warrior ethos. And then accountability, and that's accountability of personnel, yourself, accountability of people, and accountability of our equipment, because it's very important in order for us to accomplish our mission. Task and purpose, understanding truly what every individual's why is. What is your why? Why are you here? What are you doing to contribute to the team? And discipline goes hand in hand with discipline and standards. So the Victory Big Four, we use that to remind individuals that if we don't get these right every day, all day, in everything that we do, really it's the rest of the cohesiveness of the team is just not there. And that's really, bottom line up front. to why we concentrate on those as the Victory Big Four.
And Sergeant Major, what can you tell me about how you reach those goals through the Big Four? What are some specific things you do?
Well, with that one, the best thing about the Victory Big Four is that at each level, you can take different things away. So we're not expecting a company commander or a first sergeant, to be held to the same standard that a soldier when it comes to the Big Four. It really goes back to, disciplined every day. The soldiers need to understand what the standard is. They need to execute it, and they need to be able to talk and make those corrections if they see them. The NCOs need to, and the platoon leadership need to understand it a little bit better, so that they can enforce the standards and teach and explain at the different levels. And every job has a responsibility. You need to know your task and purpose, whether it's you're the CQ runner and understanding, hey, I have a mission. I need to understand I'm just not sitting here for 24 hours because the first sergeant put my name on a roster. It's I have duties and responsibilities and things that I have to look out for, up to the company commander and the first sergeant who have those same duties and responsibilities and understanding what their roles and how they get after it. And so by breaking down the Victory Big Four, great units do routine things routinely well. And that's kind of how we need to get after this is, yes, there is 1,000,001 things that we could be doing as Army leaders and a million great ideas. But if you can do these 4 things and your soldiers can understand these 4 things and do these on a daily basis, you're going to be a successful unit.
Definitely. And ma'am, so that all leads into people first, right? Is that how you put people first with those?
Yes, that's with absolutely the people first, and people always arguably mentality. So, our philosophy, our command philosophy, Command Sergeant Major Skelton and I have thought about this prior to taking our positions. We talked about it and made sure that we both agreed and we understood. The Chief of Staff of the Army said this is our priority. People is our number one priority. And we agree. So each member of the Victory team has something unique, something special to bring to the team. And we need to value that, value every member, whether it's a U.S. soldier, Korean augmentee to the United States Army, otherwise known as KATUSAs, our DA civilians, our Korean nationals, and their families. They're all members of the Victory team, and we must value. And we also, our philosophy is that, we must invest in this team. We have to invest in this team to build what the Army's looking at us as a command team to do. And that's build a team that is highly disciplined, trained, fit, healthy, and resilient, and ready. And so, the foundation of this people first and building the team, we know that it is rooted in dignity and respect for all. We say dignity, respect, and we add trust and loyalty. That's all what really binds us together to be one cohesive team from service member to family member.
Absolutely. And Sergeant Major, how does that lead into accomplishing the mission? You need that positive command climate, right?
Yeah, so when you talk about command climate, that's kind of a double-edged sword. That's the direction that everybody wants to get to. But when I look at command climate, it's really how well is an organization situated to adapt to change? Because change is probably the hardest thing that people deal with on the daily basis. And when you talk about mission, something's always going to change. Nothing survives first contact. Greatest laid training plan for that week, something's going to come up and it's going to have to change. So really it's, building the trust within the organization that the soldiers trust the leaders and that when stuff changes, they realize that it's changing for a reason. And then understanding the dynamics of the unit. You got to know your people. We have to get back to, squad leaders knowing the ins and outs of their soldiers and being able to, when they say something in the motor pool, know that they're just blowing off steam versus they're being disrespectful. That soldiers understand their leaders and the commander's intent moving forward for the mission to understand that, hey, this changed. It's because priorities are different and this is more important, to trust in the leaders to make those right decisions. Because honestly, it's it's all about a learning environment that we're trying to establish. Like the boss said earlier, is we had conversations and we really wanted to make the 498th a learning environment. We wanted soldiers to be comfortable and leaders to be comfortable to make those mistakes and be in an environment where they're not, beat up on or disciplined for making the mistakes, but making them now in the training environment, so that as we move forward, they learn from those mistakes, and can adapt, and, so it doesn't happen if in a real world situation when we do those same things we've already learned in the training environment. And so all of those things we're hoping to build, a positive climate, so that regardless of the mission, that we can handle it, and we can execute and accomplish the mission.
We can handle it being the 498th motto.
That's it. That is it.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, ma'am, so you mentioned you grew up in Guam, and May was Asian American Pacific Islander Month. I know 498th had an observance recognizing that. What can you tell me about strength and diversity and how 498th is supporting that?
So really, it was several months ago, probably 6 months into command, where, I chose to reinvigorate and really add more to what we are doing with everything that's going on around us that surrounds equal opportunity, and getting rid of racism and bigotry and all of the negative stuff that was around equal opportunity in the program. And so reinvigorating it, and making sure that everyone understands that we all have something unique to bring, and it is absolutely amazing to be a diverse unit, because that's what makes us strong, is our diversity. And so we established the command team and the EO team. We put together at the battalion level. It's funny to hear the word campaign, but we put together a victory strong campaign with our EO team. And the intent really is that our battalion is seen and we act, right? So we take those words and we put it into action as well, as an organization that's free of any discrimination. And we embrace inclusivity, that everyone in our organization is educated, trained, and aware of the policies that surround the Equal Opportunity Program, not just in our Army, but in our Department of Defense, because we all deal with other services, so we need to understand. And really, Victory Strong is operationalizing the Strength and Diversity campaign that comes from our higher level, from operational to strategic level. So it's operationalizing that every day, as we continue to promote dignity and respect for all. And in Team 19th it's doing that to allow each member of our organization to be who they are, to bring their uniqueness and their experience to the table, and to allow everyone to reach their maximum potential. That is our ultimate goal. And so this is the Victory Battalion's small commitment to Team 19's larger campaign.
And ma'am, you in your introduction you mentioned you're a proud Pacific Islander. So with that month of May observance that 498th hosted, how meaningful was that to you to add kind of your personal experience with that and have your soldiers see that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely meaningful. I mean, I come from a minority population, of course, so, the whole diversity and inclusion means a lot to me. And what my team did, our team did, for AAPI month, that's what we call it in short, was phenomenal. And I did get a little emotional because I'm proud. Right. And when you're proud of what you bring to the plate, and although small, like I said earlier, as minute as it seems, when it gets broadcasted, it's on social media. That's the positive. That's the advantage of social media. We choose to use that as our advantage because then now it can be broadcasted and, we care. But as a Pacific Islander, for those soldiers to actually get up there and dig deep back into their roots and perform, it was absolutely amazing. It was a little emotional for me, but we do that for every monthly observance. By the way, that's another form of us reinvigorating the program. Is we embrace the monthly observances.
And Sergeant Major, what have you seen from soldiers? How have they reacted to the monthly observances and like the one you did in May?
Well, all the ones that we've done so far have been extremely educational. I think my favorite part was the one in May. Was not only did they perform and share some of their culture, but they all did maps of their area. So the Philippines, Guam, the different islands. They actually came out and did maps and broke down how it's broken down in the different parts of the islands. And you could tell, the competition building when they were talking about who was from what part of the island and which part was better. But then they also brought their favorite dishes from home, and they actually spent the time and cooked and presented those to everybody in attendance. And the food was phenomenal. It was awesome to get out and experience something new and try something new. So just watching the soldiers, the pride that they took in talking about, where they come from, and then all the soldiers that got to come and experience that, just that new awakening that there's more than just a beach or sun on these islands, that it's a whole unique and different culture. It's pretty awesome to watch.
And 498th was pretty busy in May because that wasn't your only big campaign event you were doing. Sergeant Major, staying with you, what can you tell me about the 72-hour walk you did combating sexual harassment and sexual assault?
So that was in April. So the month of SAPM in April, you're right. It's been pretty busy. We've had nonstop, and we think it's important to highlight and support these different areas. We look at SAPM as a 12-year or a 12-month event. We just don't try to concentrate on the month of April, but we set aside time, and we had a 72-hour walk. Our SHARP team came up with the idea to do a 72-hour walk. So across the peninsula, all of our units had their guidons moving for 72 straight hours around a set course, with somebody always carrying the guidon. We built some competition into it, but the biggest thing that we want to take away, from that event was we asked the soldiers that as you're out there walking and you're getting tired, realize how tired sexual assault victims are, or sexual harassment victims are, of carrying that burden with them. When they get cold, to realize how cold those victims seem if they don't feel like that they have support from the organization. And then how it felt when it's 2:00 in the morning and you're walking by yourself and somebody from your unit just started walking with you, and how that burden lifted, and that how you were able to keep going because you had that small amount of support. So we asked them to look at that, and the impact across the formation was amazing. In 72 hours, our battalion walked over 5,000 miles. So it was a great thing to see. And you could go out there at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it's just not the 6 guidons moving. You had, tens to hundreds of soldiers, walking together and banded together to keep going. So it was a pretty awesome event.
Yeah, that's going far beyond just like a PowerPoint presentation about combating it. That's really awesome that you did it that way. So I think that would probably rank high on your list of achievements while you've been in command. So you mentioned, ma'am, that you and Sergeant Major have been together in command for a while. What can you tell me about some other things you've accomplished during this first year?
Oh, there was several things we accomplished from small to big. But I would tell you, as a command team, we'll start off with fundamentals. Coming in, as a commander, looking at staff and what it takes to allow me to drive the operations process, because it's really how the wheels keep moving, the gears keep turning is allowing that. And I'm proud to say it, because it's also one of the priorities or key areas for the commanding general, is that our, we continue to develop our leaders. And so I'm proud to say that our staff is very, very well versed now with what we call the Army design methodology and the military decision-making process. we breathe and live MDMP, and that was one of the things fundamentally at the staff level, the command and staff level, that we wanted to achieve. So we achieved that. However, we're getting ready to go through a summer transition. So we're taking the lessons learned from this past year, that we've been able to do that with the command and staff, and we are going to use that to our advantage for the new inbound command and staff. We established monthly battalion wellness meetings, and this was very important for us. So as we look at soldiers who are at risk just due to various reasons, it's talking about what are the issues that arose and what we can do to help these soldiers get back to a healthy state, whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically, what have you. Just how do we get them back to that healthy stage where we're ready to fight tonight, and we don't have significant concerns. Identify those resources that are required to get the soldiers back to the healthy fight tonight readiness, and that's putting our people first, and that's our emphasis. I started a weekly V6 TGIF PRT with officers, and it rotates every week with lieutenants, warrant officers, staff officers, and commanders, and that's been a real go-getter, a real motivator for the officers across. And Sergeant Major will talk about his V7 PRT. But before that, I'd also just like to highlight what we have spearheaded. We have a series called The Women Inspire Women. And we started that in the month of March, which is Women's History Month. So we started that the first of the series, and we just completed our second forum in the month of May. And so, as a battalion commander, female battalion commander, and considered one of the senior leaders because I am a battalion commander, one of the things that I looked forward to when I came in was mentorship programs, just to continue to build myself, because I'm not perfect and I will never be perfect, and just using other people's experiences. So in the battalion, we kicked this series off, and the key purpose really of Women Inspire Women is to celebrate women, use the forum as a way to create that environment of mentorship, to share the experiences and lessons learned, and the end state of it all, and whether or not it continues when I leave in 2022. But the end state of it all is that women from all races, ranks, and service get to share their motivation and their success stories to empower and inspire others and generations to come. So that is some of the highlights. Obviously, we've done a lot, but Command Sergeant Major Skelton has also done some phenomenal work on the enlisted side. Yeah, so it's been an awesome ride so far. So I hit my year mark in July, with the battalion commander hitting her year in June. So always go into it saying, we come into the command area with a million ideas of things that we want to do when we want to say. And, with the operational environment, we're probably going to get to about half of them. So, I still have a whole bunch of ideas in the back burner on the folder, kind of just waiting for the right time to bring those out. But some of the things that we've accomplished so far that I want to highlight is our work within the community. So working with our chaplain, we are the only battalion that has a signed memorandum of agreement with the city of Gumi, with an actual city, to where we partner up. Due to COVID, we haven't been able to do as much as we really want to do. But now that that's starting to get back to normal, that we're going to be able to increase that. We also have a memorandum of agreement with the Daegu Youth Center. So one of the youth centers in one of the districts down here in Daegu, we partnered up with them, that we're going to be able to start doing different events with them. So I think that's really important to give our soldiers those volunteer opportunities, engulf them in the Korean culture. And then also a lot of it is, to share
our cultures with the Koreans, not just for us to learn the Korean culture, but for them to learn from us, allows them the opportunity to speak more English. That's been great with the engagements that we've had so far. We've developed a streamer program. So competition is important in Army units. Everybody likes to win. Everybody likes to be the best. So we actually broke down, and we have monthly, quarterly, and yearly streamers that we award. With the monthly and quarterly streamers, if a unit has it, there may only be one per unit. So if the unit has it and loses it, then they actually have to dip the guidon. We'll take it off and put it onto the new guidon in front, kind of just trying to build that competition and have every soldier realize that they can have an impact. They could win their unit a streamer and have that pride for that amount of time. We brought back payday activities. It's one of those lost things that we think are important. So we brought back payday activities with uniforms, inspections, topics to talk about, things that we want leaders to execute on that time. I brought back the NCO induction ceremony. So prior to me coming here, they had a week of the NCO and they did one induction ceremony a year. Here in the 498th, we do it once a quarter, and we open it up across Area 4 for units, because we have a lot of smaller units. We have the 6th Sword, the 25th, the SDDC down in Busan, who really they could do it, but they would only be for one or two. So we try to make it a really big ordeal, a really big experience for those non-commissioned officers that are joining the NCO Corps. So we do that. And then as Lieutenant Colonel Aguon stated, I got Victory 7 PRT. So the morning that I do board, so whether it's the NCO Soldier of the Month board or it's a promotion board, what I do is I make all the board members, myself, all the soldiers going to the board, plus their sponsors, we all meet up to do PT. And then I develop the 498th PT, so 4, 9, and 8. So there's always 9 exercises, and they vary. But then we flip a coin before the PRT session starts, and that is either going to be we're doing 4 rounds of 9 exercises for 8 reps, or we reverse it and we only do 4 reps of the 8 of the 9 exercises, but we do it for 8 rounds. So it kind of depends. There's always a running event in there. So if we're going to run a lot, then you don't want it to be the 8 rounds. That's for sure. But and then immediately after that PRT session, I kick everybody out except for those that are going to the board, and it gives me that opportunity to talk to them about what's going on at their organization, what are they seeing at their level, because the soldiers see more than we see. When we come around, everything's good, there's no problems in the unit, everything's clean. They don't want us to see any stuff, but that gives the soldiers the opportunity. One, it gives them the opportunity to see my face, the board member's face, before they actually have to go to the board. So it helps ease up their nerves. It helps them see that, hey, we struggle in PT too. We sweat. We, have to work hard. We have to dig in to see that. And then it also gives the opportunity for the board members to see these soldiers and how hard they drive, and are they quitting or are they lagging, or, it's not a graded event, but it just gives us that opportunity to get familiar with each other and talk to each other. So it builds their confidence when they come before the board. So all of those things have definitely made impacts across our organization. And I hope to continue the success as we continue to drive through and bring a few more things to the table.
Yeah, that's a really interesting way to do boards with the PRT before it. Because I think I definitely know what you mean, Sergeant Major. Where you're knocking on the door, you don't really know who's going to be behind it or what their personality is. So definitely makes leaders more accessible. Also that way, it
does. And then with the new changes for advancement, especially in the officers and the senior NCOs with, the BCAP and all that kind of stuff, we've actually invited the officers to come in and sit and witness our boards, so that they can kind of get an understanding of what the enlisted go through and how much the enlisted actually know, so they can start utilizing some of those talents. And then it also gives them an idea, before they go, to be selected for battalion command, they're going to have to sit through a blind board, and it's just one of the things that's ingrained in the enlisted because we have to go to so many boards. But on the officer side, they really don't get that many opportunities to go to a board. So it gives them that opportunity to build on that knowledge and see kind of what the board process looks like and what they may face as they continue their military career.
Yeah, I never thought about that for you. Officers really don't see the inside of a board all that often.
Right.
And coming back to you, ma'am, you talked about mentorship. Kind of closing out the episode here. What advice would you give to leaders coming to Korea? Like if you could mentor them a little bit.
So just some broad advice. Really whether you're coming here for 2 years or you're especially when you're here and you're here for a year. So it's kind of tempering the attitude or the expectations, if you will, of what do you expect. It's very things don't happen as quickly and as instantaneously as you want them to happen, and that's because we need to understand that there is a cultural sensitivity portion to our mission here. Right, we don't operate in a stovepipe as United States military, U.S. Army here. We have our ROC counterparts that we always have to consider in everything that we do, because our mission here really is in support of the Republic of Korea. And so it's do some homework before you come to the peninsula just to understand the dynamics of what your specific mission entails here, whether you're in support of, you're supported. It doesn't matter, but just do some homework and understand. If you've never been here to the peninsula, and know that they don't move as fast as you want it to be if you were in the continental United States. And there's there's that underlying partnership that you have to think about in order for you to accomplish your mission here to be really, truly successful because of the mission set that is here. So manage those expectations. Just do a little bit of homework and understand what the mission entails. The year, if you're here for a year, is going to go by rather quickly. Just as you feel that you have, you have a grasp of what is going on, it's ready. You're ready to leave on a 1-year tour. And those who are here for a 2-year tour, I would advise, if you're here for a 2-year tour, there is some room to make an impact and to get better, to allow the organization to get better. So don't be afraid of that. Also providing that input. Do not show up and just be okay with status quo. That was one of my things is, as much as I could affect to make the organization better, I'm going to try, no matter how little it may seem. But don't settle with status quo, because there are other generational leaders coming up after us that need to understand that we have to improve our foxhole every day, no matter how small it is.
And Sergeant Major, what about you? What advice would you give?
We're pretty similar on our advice that we would give. For me, it would be prepared for turnover. It's gonna seem like you're repeating yourself a lot, because literally every quarter you're gonna have a new team. Not everybody's going to be there, so be prepared to keep implementing your system and having to repeat yourself, and don't get frustrated that it's, why don't they get it? I've been here for 6 months. Well, you may have been, but the core group may have switched some key leaders. So just be prepared for the turnover rate. Don't be afraid to implement change. This is the way it's always been done is not the answer, and it shouldn't be accepted by anybody. Anybody, the talent level and the knowledge experience that today's generations of soldiers are bringing in, they may know better ways of doing it than we do. They've grown up with technology their whole life. We've adapted to technology. So, don't be afraid to implement change, and don't be afraid to accept, the advice and the ideas from your soldiers. And then the last thing is, sponsorship starts early. The first impression is huge, especially here in Korea. On the 19th ESC, and all of us are working hard to make this the assignment of choice, and to kind of help change the culture of the Army, to make people want to come to Korea, because Korea is an awesome duty assignment. And how we do that is through sponsorship. And so you have to make that first impression through sponsorship, follow through with all of that when they arrive, and get them settled and get them, integrated into the unit, and then take care of those individuals as they're departing. All of those things are going to be key here in Korea, because the turnover rate is just so high that you got to get those systems in place.
Definitely. Well, I want to thank you both for coming here, and good luck on your next year in command. Maybe we can have you back on the Every Soldier Counts podcast. You're going to be here a little while. And so once again, our thanks to the 498th CSSB command team, Lieutenant Colonel Romaine Aguon and Sergeant Major Thomas Skelton. Don't forget to follow 498 CSSB on Facebook, along with 19th ESC. And we'll talk to you again here on the Every Soldier Counts podcast.
Well, it's 19.